the Ford government has announced a $1 billion program to provide emergency loans to businesses in sectors hardest hit by U.S. tariffs. The province says the Protect Ontario financing program will help support the steel, aluminum, and auto sectors. It is designed to help companies with capital challenges, including payroll, lease, and utility payments. And for more on this relief, we're joined live now by Minister Bethlenfalvy, who joins us with more on today's announcement. Minister, it's good to see you, and thank you so much for making time for us. I know it's been a busy day.
Always a pleasure, Lena.
Look, I know that there are lots of workers in the auto, steel, and aluminum industry looking at this situation with fear and anxiety, asking themselves, are my days on the job numbered? What does this relief mean for them?
Well, first off, we provided relief early. This isn't our first measure. We did $11 billion of tax deferrals and WSIB rebates so that businesses could keep producing their products, keep workers employed. This is in addition to, because, you know, with the tariffs there, they keep changing. We want to provide as much certainty in a time of uncertainty for businesses so they can keep workers employed. They can keep shipping to customers. So we've announced today another $1 billion to help those businesses out.
Minister, this is money you set aside in your budget earlier this year. I just heard you talk about certainty. Well, there is none when it comes to this situation. We're dealing with an unpredictable White House. So I wonder how you as a finance minister plan to react to all of these curveballs. What if these tariffs aren't lifted? What if there isn't relief? How do you tackle that while keeping Ontario's deficits in mind? What is the plan?
Great question. First off, you know, tariffs is like a tax. It's a tax on U.S. consumers. It's like a consumption tax. So tariff it doesn't really help in the short term, medium term, or long term. So we want the tariffs gone, and we support the federal government in negotiations to land a good deal for both sides. You know, we don't sell to each other. We build together. But in the interim, it's important that we provide supports, in this case, liquidity supports. We've put aside $1 billion, which will help companies, loans up to $40 million. But that's not the end of the story. We'll continue to monitor the situation, and we have another $4 billion that we're working on to help companies pivot and transition to whatever tomorrow brings in terms of new markets, new opportunities, because you know what? Canadians and Ontarians are resilient. We're going to get through this. I'm very confident of that, but this is a role that we can play to help get them through that.
Many Ontarians will remember COVID relief programs, and they'll think back to that now, and that wasn't necessarily a smooth rollout, though that wasn't your government. How do you ensure the right parties have access to this funding, to this relief?
Well, there were a lot of lessons learned in COVID, and this is specifically for companies that are impacted by what we call the Section 232 tariffs, which is really impacting steel. Think 50% on steel companies, 35% on autos, and aluminum companies 50%. So that's the first point. The second thing is, you know, we've got an adjudicative process, meaning that, you know, companies that qualify, we're going to streamline the process. There's guardrails put in place, but at the same time, we want to be nimble and provide the support in a timely basis. So we learned a lot through COVID. You know, like you say, other governments involved as well. But that's not going to stop us from moving quickly to help companies out.
Minister, as we've been talking about, this is a really uncertain time for so many, especially from a financial standpoint. And Premier Doug Ford announced earlier this week that he's heading to Ottawa in a couple of days to meet with the Prime Minister to suggest some ways to stimulate our economy. You're obviously keeping Ontario's economy in mind ahead of that visit. Is there anything you've said to the Premier? Is there anything he said to you about his conversation with Mark Carney?
Well, we both strongly believe that, you know, putting money back in the pockets of individuals and businesses so we can stimulate the economy. In my budget that you mentioned, we highlighted that we've saved $13 billion of taxes and fees. We've cut taxes, we've cut fees. We're the government that does that, puts money back in the individuals' pockets. We did $12 billion for businesses, cut small business tax, cut the gas tax. You know, we've done a lot of things, cut fees to make us more competitive. I think that's number one. Number two, we're all in to support the nation building projects, you know, and let's use Ontario steel to build that. Let's buy all the nuts and bolts from Canadian companies. Let's work together to procure within the rules to promote Canadian businesses, use that in the new economy that we're building here in Canada.
Okay. Ontario's Finance Minister Peter Bethlenfalvy, thanks so much for your time, and we appreciate this.